Have you ever wondered what really happened to Noah's Ark? Was it just a story, a legend passed down through generations, or an event that truly changed the course of human history? For centuries, its tale has inspired, baffled, and captivated millions. Today, we will explore the biblical facts, hidden mysteries, and scientific traces that surround one of the greatest events ever recorded in Scripture, the flood and the Ark of Noah. The story begins in the book of Genesis, chapters 6 to 9. The scripture paints a grim picture of the ancient world. It had become corrupt, filled with a level of violence and wickedness that grieved God to his heart. Humanity, his creation, had turned away from its creator, straying into darkness. Yet, in this sea of corruption, God found one beacon of light: Noah. He is described as a righteous man, blameless among the people of his time, who walked faithfully with God. It was this single, devout man who was chosen for a monumental task. God spoke to Noah, giving him a command that would sound impossible to any other. Make yourself an ark of gopher wood. Make rooms in it and coat it with pitch inside and out. Genesis 6:14. This wasn't just any boat. It was to be a sanctuary, a vessel of salvation for his family, and for every kind of animal, to preserve life through a catastrophic, world-altering flood. Let's look at the materials. Gopher wood remains a mystery. Some scholars suggest it could be cypress, known for its durability and water-resistant properties. The pitch, a tar-like substance, would have made the structure completely waterproof, a crucial detail for surviving global deluge. And the dimensions given in the Bible are astonishingly precise: 300 cubits long, 50 cubits wide, and 30 cubits high. In modern terms, that's roughly 135 meters long, 23 meters wide, and 14 meters high. This wasn't a quaint fairy tale boat. It was a massive, three-decked vessel with the volume of more than 500 standard railroad stock cars, the size of a modern cargo ship. Naval engineers have studied these proportions, a length-to-width ratio of 6:1, and found them to be remarkably stable, ideal for handling rough, tumultuous seas. Is this a mere coincidence, or the signature of divine engineering, a blueprint from God himself? Then came the most incredible procession the world has ever known: the animals. 2 by 2, male and female of every kind, they arrived. But how did Noah, a single man, gather creatures from every corner of the earth? The Bible offers a profound clue. They came to Noah and entered the ark as God had commanded. Notice the specific wording. The animals came asterisk to asterisk Noah. He didn't have to hunt, trap, or herd them. This suggests a miraculous divine orchestration where God himself guided all of creation toward the vessel of safety. It was a moment where the natural order bowed to a supernatural purpose. Skeptics have long asked, how could so many species possibly fit inside the ark? The question is valid, but it often misunderstands the text. According to many biblical scholars, the original Hebrew term for kind likely refers not to our modern classification of species, but to broader ancestral categories like a foundational cat kind, dog kind, or horse kind. From these original pairs, the diversity we see today could have developed over time. If this interpretation is correct, the number of animals on the ark would be far more manageable, numbering in the thousands, not millions. Inside, the ark was a world within a world, a floating sanctuary amidst rising chaos, its 3 levels meticulously organized to house its precious cargo. Then, the moment of judgment arrived. Once Noah, his family, and the animals were safely inside, God himself sealed the door. The heavens opened and it began to rain. But this was no ordinary storm. The scriptures say the fountains of the great deep burst forth as the windows of heaven were opened. For 40 days and 40 nights, water consumed the earth. Every mountain was submerged. Every civilization built by human hands vanished beneath the waves. The world was undone, washed clean by the power of the deluge. Yet in the heart of this apocalyptic storm, there was an island of peace. Noah, his family, and the animals were safe, protected within the ark. For 150 days, the vessel floated upon the endless water. It was not steered by human hands. It had no sails, no rudder, no compass. It was carried only by the will of God, a perfect emblem of surrender and faith. This flood wasn't solely about destruction. It was a divine reset, a painful but necessary second chance for a creation that had lost its way. And even in this immense act of judgment, there was a promise of grace. The Bible tells us, "But God remembered Noah," and with those words, the tide of history turned. The waters began to recede, signaling that the end of their long trial was finally in sight. Finally, after months adrift on a boundless ocean, a gentle jolt signaled the end of their journey. The ark had come to rest. The Bible states with geographic certainty, "And the ark rested in the 7th month, on the 17th day of the month, upon the mountains of Ararat." This location marks the intersection of history and one of archaeology's greatest quests. The mountains of Ararat refers to a volcanic massif in modern-day Turkey, near the borders of Armenia and Iran. For centuries, this rugged, formidable landscape has lured explorers. Driven by the hope of finding physical proof of the ark dot, the accounts are tantalizing. In 1917, during World War I, Russian soldiers flying over the region claimed to have seen the frozen outline of a massive wooden structure high in the ice. Their report was lost in the chaos of the revolution, but the story endured. Decades later, in 1959, aerial photographs taken by the Turkish Air Force revealed a peculiar boat-shaped formation on the mountain. The Ara anomaly, as it came to be known, fueled decades of speculation. More recently, in 2010, a team of Chinese and Turkish evangelical researchers announced a stunning discovery. They claimed to have found ancient wooden chambers high on the mountain, carbon dated to 4,800 years ago, the very time of Noah. While skeptics have questioned the evidence, the allure of Ararat remains, a potent symbol of a past waiting to be unearthed. When Noah finally stepped out of the ark onto dry land, his first act was one of worship. He built an altar and gave thanks to God for their deliverance. It was then that God established a covenant, an everlasting promise to humanity. He placed a rainbow in the clouds, declaring, "Never again will I destroy all life by the waters of a flood." The rainbow, once a simple phenomenon of light and water, was forever transformed into a universal symbol of God's mercy, grace, and his unwavering covenant with creation. But the story of the ark is more than just history. It is a powerful tapestry of symbolism, prophecy, and profound spiritual lessons. In the New Testament, Jesus himself draws a direct parallel between Noah's time and the time of his future return. He warned, "As it was in the days of Noah, so it will be at the coming of the Son of Man." In those days, people were absorbed in their daily lives, eating, drinking, marrying, oblivious to the coming judgment, until the flood came and took them all away. The warning is clear: spiritual complacency can be perilous. The ark itself is a potent symbol of salvation. It had only one door, a single point of entry through which Noah and his family found safety. Christian theology sees this as a prefigurement of salvation through Christ's one door, one way to be saved from judgment. The flood represents judgment, but the ark represents redemption. It's a timeless story not just about water and destruction, but about unwavering obedience, divine grace, and the enduring hope of a new beginning. The question that echoes through the centuries is, could the ark still exist today? Could this monumental vessel, a solitary witness to a drowned world, lie hidden beneath the immense glaciers or volcanic rock of Mount Ararat? Some researchers passionately believe so. They theorize that the frigid, high-altitude conditions could have preserved its gopher wood frame in a state of near perfect hibernation, waiting for the day of its rediscovery. Expeditions continue to this day, armed with ground-penetrating radar and satellite imagery, all searching for a definitive sign. Others propose a more practical fate. They suggest the Ark, having served its divine purpose, simply disintegrated over centuries, its precious, seasoned timber likely repurposed by Noah's descendants or other local inhabitants for shelter and fuel in a barren, post-flood world. In this view, the Ark wasn't meant to be a permanent relic, but a temporary tool. But perhaps there's a third, more profound possibility. Maybe the true Ark isn't meant to be found. Perhaps its enduring mystery serves a higher purpose, reminding us that faith, by its very nature, is the art of believing without seeing. The power of the story isn't contingent on a physical artifact. Whether the Ark rests beneath eternal snow or was long lost to time, its core message remains unshaken and endures through the ages. God protects his faithful, God remembers his promises, and God renews a world broken by sin. The Ark of Noah isn't just an ancient story carved into the pages of Scripture. It is a living, breathing, timeless message for all humanity. It teaches us that even when the world drowns in chaos, when the storms of life feel overwhelming and the foundations seem to wash away, there is always a place of refuge. There is always a covenant of hope, an anchor for the soul, for those who choose to listen to the voice of God.